The subject of making amends to other people is a pretty large one, and frequently people seem stuck, like they just can't do it. I've seen people who can't take any responsibility for their behavior at all, and then on the other end of the spectrum, there are people who think they're responsible for every single thing that's ever happened around them. It's strange, but when we're stuck, what I've noticed, the one thing that might help people become unstuck in this particular area is when I remind them that the first person you've got to make amends to is always it's yourself. When we've done things that cause grave harm to others, when we willfully, act in a vengeful way, the person we hurt the most is ourselves. I mean, we could have killed somebody. That other person could be dead. But the person we harm the most is ourself because we're acting out of our own self-will. So remember, you got to sort through that one. And it can be a dark subject before you can go make amends to other people. So making amends is an expression of love. It's a passing of the peace sign to another human being. But we make amends so that we can live at peace. Making amends is an act of self-love and self-compassion. And frequently on the addict side, oh, I remember a conversation with a woman. She had a nickname. She went by the nickname of Peppermint Patty. My dad knew her. She helped run the AA side of the program in Denver. And I remember talking to her once, and she said, by the time she sobered up, she had driven everyone away from her. Um, if I got it right, I think she said she had no biological family left. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with her. It was so bad. And that's what she was left with. So even if you're in a situation where people will not speak to you, they won't have it, they won't hear it, they've, heard your lies for decades, etc., etc., etc. Be at peace knowing that God has provided you a rich source of people to love, and they're your friends. And very likely they will love you better than your family will. And that is to be embraced. Remember, remember, remember. The first place we make amends, it's to ourselves. Always to yourself. July 14th. I didn't know how great a burden my guilt was until I made amends and gained release from it. I never wanted to face the harm I'd done in the past. Consequently, without knowing it, I carried guilt with me most of the time. Making amends has helped me to put the past behind me and move on with a clear conscience. My esteem has grown ever since, and I feel much better about myself. But I had a problem. The person I felt I owed the most amends to is no longer living. Deep in my heart, I knew she had understood and forgiven me, but I could not forgive myself for the harm I had done. How could I make amends? After much prayer and thought, I realized that I couldn't change the past. All I could do was change my present behavior. Now, when I feel tempted to shirk a responsibility, I can remember my friend and reconsider my choices. Each time I talk to a newcomer, chair a meeting, or share my story, I am making amends to my friend. Today's reminder: I can't make past wrongs disappear, but I can take actions that will help me to let them go. When I make amends, I do what I can to correct the situation. Then I can put that past in its rightful place and leave it there. Here's the quote: "Let me remember that the reason for making amends is to free my own mind of uneasiness." And that's from The Dilemma of the Alcoholic Marriage. People who refuse to talk to you, people that won't hear it, yeah, there's an element of keeping you in bondage there. Um, there's control. There's always control. When someone won't listen to your side of the story, won't entertain your perspective, there's a lot of ways to communicate with someone. You can send a letter, you can send an email, you can just write it down and share it with your sponsor. We have to accept that sometimes there's no fixing things, that there's a real ending to our relationships with family members and friends. And that's a gift and a blessing on both sides, and a reminder to cherish what you have. And also, but just be mindful that no one has kind of the power of judgment and condemnation over you. No one, but no one has that kind of control over another human being. I frequently have seen uh, people try to control an addict indefinitely by not forgiving them. So wrong. So wrong. Do not do it to yourself or to them. All right? Blessings on your day.